All right, Andrew Easton here with the ESUCC, and I'm so grateful to Ellen Stokebrand of ESU4 for joining us as we're going to have a little bit of a conversation about some resources for special education and other priority populations. This is part one of, well, several parts that we're going to get to here. We're trying to address some really big questions, so big that it actually almost doesn't fit on our banner there, as we were asked to kind of talk a little bit about some of the FAPE guidance and protections, including non-discriminatory and appropriate evaluations, appropriate IEP, 504, etc. I'll let you, as the viewer, read through all that. But we're going to just learn a little bit from Ellen here. As administrators, right, what should those folks be thinking about regarding this topic in the remote setting?
Well, Andrew, I'm excited for the opportunity, but when everybody asks me a special ed question, my answer is always, it depends, because of the situation everybody's always in. And so what I would tell everybody is, if as they're looking at what we need to do for FAPE or what we need to do for IEPs or IFSPs or services or whatever is drilled down to what every individual situation is. That's why in special education, individual is a big part of everything we do. So the details are going to make a huge difference. And so the Department of Education Special Education website is a great resource that talks about how do we provide resources during COVID times, during regular times, during the good, the bad, all of that other stuff. But the other part about that is it's not just about the resources that are on the SPED website. It's also then about knowing who to reach out to, because we can't all know everything. Even as a special ed director, I reach out to people who can help me out. And so I would recommend reaching out to your ESU special ed director, to your local district special education director. Those are the people who have been talking with the Department of Ed, or talking with within our NASA's group or within other groups through administrators about how we need to meet the needs of our students, how we communicate with our parents, and how we protect confidentiality in all those conversations.
Well, I know, and confidentiality is something we're going to talk about in one of our upcoming videos here, but you did touch upon there briefly some of those, like parents, resources for parents, including procedural safeguards and student-parent participation. So how does that, I guess, kind of expound upon that a little bit more, because I heard a portion of that in your answer there, but see if we can kind of address that topic here as well while we're on the subject.
So we work very closely with parents in special education, everything we do. So anytime we make a move or make a decision or whatever, parents are part of that conversation. And so special ed page from the Department of Ed has resources there, but there's also, in Nebraska, we have the Nebraska Parent Information Center and or Training Center. Anyway, they share a lot of resources with parents and have done some webinars with the Department of Education in helping parents know what resources and different parts of information that they could find, or different questions that they could answer, or people that they could talk to that would help to answer their questions. And so I always, ESUs, again, I have a lot of parents call me, and I'm always happy to share those resources with them. And so directing parents to an ESU, that's part of what we do, is we help guide people to whatever resources they need.
Absolutely. And so while you were talking there, I actually brought this up with this is the link, right?
That's it. It's Parent Training Information Center, PTI Nebraska. Absolutely.
There you go. So I'm glad that we got a chance to point people to those resources. That's what these videos are for, really, so just kind of get some ideas, point people in the right direction. And so kind of lastly here, as we're talking about resources, confidentiality is something that has come up a little bit, both for, really for all populations, right? During this time, there's a lot of new parameters within which we're kind of operating in this virtual setting. And so what would you say to administrators with regards to those safeguards that are in place to protect confidentiality in that remote environment?
Well, first of all, we want to protect everybody's confidentiality, the educator, anybody involved in that. But I think part of it, we're not generally, when I'm working with a student or if I'm working with a student using things online and somebody else in the house happens to be around, I'm not saying anything that's personally identifiable about that student's disability or anything like that. And so it's like my classroom, and people walk in and out of my classroom all the time, and I'm never talking about, oh, Ellen, your autism is just really bad. You need to make sure you go calm down a little bit. We aren't saying things like that. We don't say that in our classroom, so we don't say that in our virtual classrooms either. So it's making sure that when we're working with our students, we're not identifying anything that's that's personally identifiable to them, but yet we're focused on the task at hand. And then just knowing who's in the area, it's just kind of it's knowing who is there and what you need to say, or watching all of those pieces. And that's not a very clean way to say it, but it's just about, watching what you do and watching how you say what you say matters no matter where you are. And that's part of this.
Oh, and there's so many avenues within which people have access to a classroom now that were never there before when you're in that virtual space. And so I totally agree with what you're saying there. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise on this topic. And we are going to record additional content. So if you're curious and extending this conversation, check those pieces out. But again, we'd point you to the NDE special education page. So that's a great place for resources, in addition to people like Ellen, who are here from the ESU to help you out. So make sure that you reach out to us as well. Thanks, and check out that other content there.